another episode of Blake's Breakdowns. They're going to be, we talked about Matthew Golden, Tet McMillan. Just a little bit of a quick refresh on them. Tet McMillan, who I wasn't that high on. I think he is still a great wide receiver.
You and Mel Kiper.
6'5", big body, Mike Evans type body type. But he's starting to fall. He was a surefire top 10 guy when this process started. He's fallen into the mid-15s. And now in the most recent mocks, he's in like the late 20s now, mid to late 20s. So he's fallen more and more. I've even seen 3 or 4 receivers going ahead of him now, and he was the consensus number one guy. He's not my number one guy.
No.
He's cool, and I think people get caught up in the body type, the one-handed catches, but I don't see, and you're going to see this in the guys that I show that I like. I like separators. I like route runners. I like guys that are explosive. Obviously, when you watch like a Jamar Chase's tape at LSU, you see him, he's creating separation. Now, can he make a contested catch down the field? I also want to see that. Of course, if you're going to be drafted top 10.
You better be able to if you're a top 10, 20 receiver.
Agreed. And just with Tet, I saw him able to make some of those catches across the middle, but I didn't see much separation on the routes. And
that's a problem.
In the NFL, you're going to have to separate. You're not going to be able to, you can't just big body everybody.
No, because they're going to get physical with you.
And those zones, how the teams disguise stuff, and your quarterback thinks it's open. Next thing you know, there's 2 linebackers and a safety in the hole waiting to pop you. So, anyways, that was about them. Still a big fan of Matthew Golden.
By the way, real quick, Marcus Mosher coming up next after we do our Blake breakdown. Marcus Mosher making his Fan After Dark debut. Locked On Cowboys joining us. So stay tuned for that. Continue.
So I watched Luther Burden first, and just a quick rundown on him if you don't know who he is.
He's off my board already.
He went to Mizzou. Was number 3. He's 5'11", 208. He's a junior.
How tall do you really think he is then?
Probably 5'10". I will say this. A lot of people, I'll give you the comp right off the rip for you guys. He's very Zay Flowers-esque. Very much
he's top 5 receiver. I mean, let's talk about it.
So when I was watching this tape, me and Zach came to the same conclusion. He reminded us of Zay Flowers. The biggest difference, though, and this is the reason that I'm not that high on him, not as good of as a route runner. Now,
that's a big deal.
The stuff after the catch, very much like Zay Flowers, where you're going to see a lot of speed outs, a lot of quick stuff in the flats, a lot of swing passes, a lot of bubble screens, even a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of handoffs, like a lot of stuff 5 yards into the line of scrimmage. It's not a lot of downfield stuff with Luther Burden. And a lot of stuff that you see with him is he'll run that speed out, and I'd say 8 times out of 10, he's doing a quick spin move back inside to get up the field. Sometimes it works. So when he plays a not great school, I'll pull up some of his game logs for you guys. Early in the season when he played Murray State, they won 51-0. He went 4 for 49. Then he plays Buffalo. He goes 3 for 15. Then he plays Boston College. He goes 5 for 117. That was his only game above 100 yards. Was against Boston College. He went, 6 catches. 6 catches for 117 yards. So he wasn't and his most catches in a game was 8 against South Carolina, where they lost 34-30. A lot of people were saying the hype on Luther Burden, and I was ready to see Zay Flowers. I was ready to see this explosiveness. Just every time he throw him a bubble screen, it's a house call, or he's getting 10, 15 yards. What I saw a lot was him trying to make something out of nothing. So the effort's there. The motor is there. That's not a problem as far as effort and trying on the field. Maybe a little bit to his demise, though. There was almost in every game I watched, he had some kind of penalty where it's a boneheaded penalty, whether it's him fighting with players, jawing with people on the sideline. If you need to watch any game, if you don't have time to watch the full tape, I understand. Watch him versus Boston College. That entire game, you can just watch him. Just watch the targets with him. That'll tell you everything you need to know about Luther Burden. The highs, he takes 2. I think he has 2 touchdowns in that game. Actually, just one touchdown. He has an almost touchdown again. Bubble screens, 30 yards. A quick slant route takes it 75 yards to the house. Also, you see him 4 downfield passes, drop all of them.
Yeah.
Also, you see him throw a player's mouthpiece into the stands. Also, you see him drop a pass.
I'm not mad at that.
And jaw with another player. So you see the highs, you see the lows, and you see the kind of character, personality problems that teams could have in that Boston College game. I'm not super high on Luther Burden. He definitely feels like a complimentary piece. He feels like a number 2 receiver, like almost every single receiver in this class. I don't even know if there is a dominant number 1 receiver in this class, but I can tell you it's probably not Luther, especially at his stature of 5'11", 208. Very fun prospect to watch. Very explosive. Is very athletic. I will say this, played a lot bigger than I thought he would. So I guess maybe like a bigger Zay Flowers as far as he'll finish every play. So he'll make his spin move or two. I showed you some of the clips. He's going to throw a couple dudes off with a juke move, but he's going to finish the play with
return kicks.
He does. He did a lot of kick returning. His kick returning.
I don't see him slipping past. If you think about it, all right, you got the Tampa Bay Bucks at 19, Denver at 20, Steelers at 21, Chargers at 22. Right, so I don't see him.
I think player-wise, he's a good fit for the Chargers because you have a lad there who's more of a possession receiver.
Do you need? But would you like a little bit bigger body dude, though?
You definitely do. For the Steelers, I can kind of see it, but I don't know if they need another diva receiver over there.
See, I would think Tampa or Denver. Honestly, I think Denver would be the best fit for him.
With Courtland Sutton?
Well, I think with Courtland Sutton, Bo Nix, and with a Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Because look, if you're going to find out real quick if you can be a professional or not.
No, I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Denver, for what they do.
Because don't get it twisted. I know I'm saying something negative. He's got explosiveness. This guy can score with the best of them.
Absolutely. I mean, and look, if you're telling me he's Zay Flowers or
not good as a route runner,
of that ilk, okay. You could do a lot worse than a Sean Payton offense.
A lot of the stuff now in the game I was really impressed with was the game against A&M.
Yeah.
I mentioned he didn't do a lot of downfield stuff. In that A&M game, he did. He had, I think, 3 catches over 20 yards.
Which he was about the only one doing.
He was the only one. They got blasted by
A&M.
But he had a couple comeback routes. He even had a little corner route. He had one up the sideline as well. So I thought he played well in that game. The Boston College game was his standout one as well. But Luther Burden for me right now as it sets, probably wide receiver 4.
Yeah.
Maybe closer to 5. I have to look through some more tape with some of the other guys. But the other guy that I want to get to, and this is a guy that Zach told me about. I was really excited to look at him. You probably have heard his name before. 6'1", 205. He's a senior. Emeka Egbuka. 81 catches on the season. Just over 1,000 yards. Had 10 tutties. Now, a reason you may have not heard him as much is because of his running mate, who was right next to him, Jeremiah Smith, who had 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns, the true freshman for the Ohio State Buckeyes. But back to Emeka Egbuka. Now, this is what we call a route runner, a true separator. All of his stuff is across the middle. All of his stuff are deep digs. You're going to see some speed outs. I absolutely loved Emeka Egbuka's game. He is a guy that he's not going to out physicality really anybody. He's not going to run a quick glance route with a linebacker sitting there and take a hit. That's not his game. But what he will do is he'll run that shallow crosser, understand where the zone is, get into the soft spot, and pick up 12 yards. The guy he reminded me the most of, and funny enough, he played at Ohio State, and when I talked to Zach about it, he goes, wow, because he was used similar there when he was there, was Jackson Smith and Jigba. This is who Emeka Egbuka.
That must be the consensus.
Yes. Is that what someone else said?
My guy Lance Zerline, who's been doing this forever and a day, and he does radio down in Houston, NFL comparison, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, I mean, smooth route runner.
Hey, I can do a lot worse.
I want to say my favorite route he ran, I want to say it was, I want to pull up the exact game. It was against Indiana. Indiana, he had himself a ball. So they're in a cover 2 zone. They're running cover 2 a lot. And they got obviously a corner sitting in that little shallow part of the field and a little cloud coverage. He runs what looks like he's going to be running a kind of like a little out route, cuts it right back inside and manipulates the corner to safety. And our boy, who was Ohio State's quarterback? I'm forgetting, not McCourty. Will Howard puts it right on the money for Emeka Egbuka. To me, he is the perfect wide receiver 2 in today's NFL, and I would absolutely love if the Dallas Cowboys got their hands on him. I will say this, 12 feels a little rich. 12 feels a little rich for an Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah.
But I would love I don't think he's going to be there at 44 because I've seen him mocked at the Steelers at 21. I've seen the Chargers getting him. So if you were in a trade back situation, I would love a Matthew Golden and Emeka Egbuka. I think both of those guys.
81 catches for 1,000 yards and 10 tutties.
Mm-hmm. And
now, was he hurt his junior year?
No, last year he was even better. I'll pull up.
No, his sophomore year he was good. No, that's why I was asking because his sophomore year, damn near identical stats to this season, right? 74 catches, 1,150 yards, 10 tutties. Junior year,
he was hurt.
Now, he did play in 10 games, though, right? So he must have missed, but he only had 41 catches for 515 yards and only 4 touchdowns. Yeah. So sophomore and senior year, our boy was lights out.
And a great point that was brought up, it's been brought up a couple of times, not breaking news in here with this one, but he's been the wide receiver 2 before. He's had other star receivers, be the Garrett Wilson being his running mate, JSN, and then obviously this year with Jeremiah Smith maybe being the best, outside of Ryan Williams, the best receiver in the country. Funny enough, they're both freshmen. He knows how to complement, how to fit into a scheme and produce well. I just loved everything about his game. Now, he's not the 6'5" Ted McMillan, just throw the ball up and I'm going to go get it. But when you're playing zone and you need a guy on third down, I don't know how many times watching this tape I saw him pick up a third down conversion, runs a quick out and just knows where to be.
Except for a chain mover, man. You need guys like that because I'm going to tell you right now, the Cowboys needed one of those desperately.
Yes.
Because think about it this way too. What was the one thing, I can't remember who was the dude from the Lions. Was it Branch that said
Brian
it on the AQ podcast?
What happened?
When he said we knew that as long as we shut down Branch, CD, we weren't worried about anybody else on that offense.
Alabama guy might have been,
You know, so I mean, you know, to have somebody, and I can't remember who it was. You know, it's draft season, so everybody's talking. But having a chain mover is so undervalued. Right? Like to have
I don't need everything to take into the house. I mean, I would love it, but you can't have 7 of those guys on your team.
And I can't remember who said it, but it's like that's not realistic, right? Like you're going to have games where it's 17-14, but can you have a guy that, you know, you matriculate the ball down the field, you do a 12.
He's not going to have a boneheaded play where he's false starting. And
you do a 12 play. Because let me tell you something right now. The thing about this Cowboy offense that I think we're going to see this year that we haven't seen maybe in the last couple of years and maybe going back to Zeke's second year or rookie year, whatever it was, you're going to see a lot of 8, 10, 12-play drives this year, right? Where you're taking up 6, 7, 8 minutes off the clock, right? Because you are mashing the ball down people's throats. And so you're going to need that second receiver guy that can make, like you said, make those catches over the middle, do those out routes, right? On a 4th and 2, on a 3rd and 6 or something like that.
And I love with him is he's not doing it where I'm not running a great route, but I'm just more physical and I'm just going to catch it. No, he's selling the go route, which I love that. Great route runner. He's snapping his head out of his break, and boom, the ball was on time, and he's getting down. He might get upfield if there's some room to go. I would love for him to be a little bit more explosive after the catch. He showed some of that in the playoffs. I think in that first game against Tennessee, he had a couple runs. But that's not really his game. But you got CeeDee Lamb for that. You got your home run hitters. I don't need a home run hitter next to now. Would it be great? Of course. But there's nobody
that's
really.
What Turpin's for.
There's really nobody in this draft that's that. Now, Luther Burden, if you could get his character issues, maybe. Yeah. But I personally, it's a higher floor, lower ceiling pick. But I was really in love with Emeka Egbuka's tape. Smooth route runner, great at finding the soft spot in the zone, which, like you said, I think is very underrated. Very much reminded me of JSN, who plays on the Seattle Seahawks, who, funny enough, was most yards out of the slot this year. Emeka can play in the slot, and he can play outside. His sophomore year that you spoke about, he played outside a lot as well, with Garrett being in the slot. So I think Emeka Egbuka could be a great pick for the Dallas Cowboys.
Problem is, and again, you said it, 12 seems a little high for him.
They got him on a consensus board. He's at 25 right now.
So that's what I'm saying. Is this one of those deals where if you get fortunate enough to trade back, do you go ahead and if you're sitting somewhere in that 19 to 22, 23 spot, would you snatch him up?
Give me Emeka Egbuka or Matthew Golden. I see Matthew Golden. We reviewed his tape not too long ago. Both similar.
Who do you like better? So let's pretend for the sake of this argument that you trade back to 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me
trade
20,
back to 20.
Give me 23.
All right.
23.
We're just gonna say 20. You've got Emeka. You got Luther Burden. Both on the.
Emeka.
Taking them all day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna say or Golden.
Okay, throw Golden in there.
Because to me, Luther Burden, I don't think that's what the Cowboys need right now. Very redundant. Turpin. I mean, I think he's probably better than Turpin, but
he's better than Turpin.
He's better than Turpin, but we need another?
Right mind's thinking Turpin's
right now. He's not a good route runner, so that's my biggest thing. Is so right now he is Turpin. Now, could he develop into something different in the right system? Of course. And they got the wide receivers coach from
Oregon. Let's put it this way. He's better than Turpin right now because nobody in outside of Turpin had Turpin as a first-round draft pick coming out of college.
Okay, true. Give me Emeka.
But I get what you're saying, and especially for
we need a different body type.
Well, we definitely need a different body type. Well, I mean, don't forget
Brandon Cooks.
Well, you got Mingo Mania sitting in the waiting in the wings.
I did forget.
And when we talk about, I mean, look, we saw him. He's a big dude.
Give me out of those three, give me Emeka at 20. Okay. I'm not mad at all if I get Matthew Golden though as well. If Emeka's gone.
And if they take Luther at 20?
I'm fine. Oh, they took Luther at 20? Yeah. I'd have a little bit of fits.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure it'll work out. He's a great athletic guy.
We don't know enough about this coaching staff yet to feel one way or the other.
I will say this. I just wish they didn't trade for Mingo because I would love Tez Johnson from Oregon later on because that's his coach. His coach is here. He's a great fit. And if you want to take a smaller guy that's explosive, give me Tez Johnson. And that can be my Luther Burden-esque player on the team. And then give me Emeka. Those three guys with Turpin as your 4 or Mingo as your 4 or Ryan Florino, whoever. I don't care. I feel a lot better about that.
Brooks. Doesn't matter.